What's up guys, Misha here from Beyond the Huddle and welcome to this week's Ethereum forecast. We didn't have a video last week, so this week we're going to be taking a look at what's happened for the past 2 weeks and what we can potentially expect for the coming week. So first off, as always, we're going to start with the SMI, which is our sentiment indicator for the spot market. We're looking at exchange data here. And as you guys can see, we have the long-term sentiment and we have the short-term sentiment. And this is data from noon of today, right? So it's about 2 hours or so ago. And when we look at the, this one is the long-term. When we look at it, we can see that we've been seeing distribution this entire time. So this entire time, the price has been moving higher. We've been seeing distribution in the spot market. And at these lows right here, we did see some form of accumulation, some neutral, but a lot of accumulation as well. And then once we started taking off, we started to see distribution. So the key here is going to be not just looking at the sentiment, and here I'm looking at the shorter term one, and you can see it's the same thing. We're seeing distribution right now, and we had seen accumulation at these lows. So the key here is the same way when we saw accumulation at the lows, we needed to see the price action confirm the reversal. As we're seeing the distribution here, we're going to need the price action to confirm a top, and that's going to happen usually once price hits some type of resistance level. So we'll go into all of that once we get into the price action segment, but I just wanted to show you guys that we are currently seeing distribution in the spot market, and what we would be looking for right now is for price to confirm a high. Okay, so as long as price does not confirm a high, the distribution does not really mean much until we hit resistance and then we confirm the high. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the COT report. All right, so we're now looking at the COT report, and what we could do is we can go ahead and look at the past 2 COT reports because we did miss last week. So last week, what we were looking at is that the asset managers had actually added 24 shorts and they had left their longs unchanged as 0. So they were at 238. And now when we look at the last report, which is as of March the 15th, we can see that they've actually reduced their shorts by 69 contracts. It's a pretty big number, guys. That's about 30-ish% of their positions. When we look at the 238 positions, they removed 69. That's a pretty big number. Obviously, they haven't changed their long positions, but they've decreased their shorts by a lot. And what we're going to look at right now is the price chart with the indicator. And we can see that every single time that we get this decline in shorts, that is the time where you start to see the market rally, right? We saw the same thing here where shorts were declining. We tried to go below average for about a week, and then that did not work out, and then shorts increased one more time as price dropped, and now we're seeing a decrease in shorts again, and the price is rallying. Okay, so if we want to see this rally continue, what we're going to need to see is for the shorts to keep dropping. If we start to get shorts to increase again, well, that's not going to be good, and we're probably going to see price turn around at some point. The main thing we're going to need to see here as well is going to be, as these shorts are declining, we're going to want to see the longs start to increase, because as we've seen, you don't usually get those big rallies unless longs are increasing. And we can see here the percentage long going up. Right now it's at 0. So if we were to look at, if we were to pull this up and switch it from shorts to longs, we can see longs are still staying flat at 0. And that's something that we're going to need to see change if we want a sustained rally in Ethereum. Okay, so that's going to be it for the COT report. They're still 100% short, but they are declining their short, which is allowing for a price to rally. So we'll see tomorrow's report how that plays out. Do we see a continuous decline in shorts, or do the shorts start to pick up again? So that's going to be for tomorrow. I'll be posting that information in our Discord server as soon as the data is out. So if you're not part of the Discord server, there's going to be a link down below in the description where you guys can join. It's completely free. You can come in, hang out with us, ask questions, talk about charts, and also get access to the COT report as soon as it comes out. I always post it at 3:30-ish p.m. Eastern time every Friday. So with that said, guys, now let's go ahead and get into the price action segment, and we'll start with Ethereum BTC. All right, guys, Ethereum BTC, what are we seeing? What is it looking like? So if you guys remember, let's go to a daily time frame. We can see on the weekly that we've had a nice bottom here, and then price started to rally last week, and this week we're trying to keep expanding to the upside. So what kind of level were we looking at down here? Well, if we look at it from our level here, which was this 3-day demand here, that was the second time that we were hitting that level. So I'm not really a fan of these demand or supply areas getting hit multiple times. But the more important level was right here, which was what? this was the previous year's value area high. Okay, so as you guys can see, this is our BTH volume profile right here, and we can see that last year's value area high, and I think this is showing me more than, there you go. We only need to see last year. Okay, so we can see that we actually hit the previous year's value area high, and that's actually a very, very bullish sign that we actually used it as resistance, because what we did not want to see is price go down and then break below and then use it as resistance. Okay, so now we're seeing a move to the upside. Now, what could we potentially expect from this move? So we're definitely above the monthly open, and when we look at our monthly candle, we can see that the move lower was creating the wick, the bottom side wick of this monthly candle, and now we are in the expansion phase of that monthly candle. Go back into our daily time frame. So how are we going to figure out exactly what to expect as we're hitting this daily supply right here, which we actually had marked out ever since 2 weeks ago, and we finally got to that price point after using this one as support? How we're going to figure that out? Well, what's going to happen next? Well, we're going to go down into our 8-hour. I'm going to be looking at the quarterly value. So right now we are at the point of control of the previous quarter, so that's going to be an important area. If we can stay above that, then we could potentially be targeting the previous quarter's value area high. Okay, so right now we only have one level in between that value area high and current prices, which is the weekly supply right here, which we had barely missed here. So it's definitely a potential for us to come up into that before we get into this level here. But once we drop down into our 4-hour and we start looking at the previous month's value, we can see right here, that was the move down that we were talking about into creating the bottom side wick of the month, went back above the monthly open, went back above previous month's value area low, and now we're sitting right around previous month's point of control. And so far it's acting as resistance. So what we have to do is we have to drop down the time frames and start looking at lower time frame to see what else is happening in terms of value inside this area here. So I'm going to drop down into my 1-hour, look at the weekly profiles, and we can see that we are above the previous week's value area high. So this is telling us that we are in a nice uptrend at the moment based on the weekly profile. When I drop down into my 15-minute and I'm looking at my 3-day value area, we can see on the 3-day we are in a consolidation. We are within the previous 3 days value, but we are using the 3-day point of control as support. And when I drop down into my 5-minute and I'm looking at my daily profile, we can see that we've been trying to sustain above the previous day's value area high. We have not been able to do so far. However, I wouldn't be bearish until we go back below previous day's value area low. So what we were looking at here, which was previous quarter's point of control right here, and also previous month's point of control, I wouldn't be too worried about that being held as resistance until we actually start to break down on these lower time frame, which would be the first one would be the daily. So as long as we don't start to bear trend on the daily, I would expect this to not hold and for price to go up to this previous month's value area high. So we have 3 levels here. We have the previous month's value area high, we have that weekly supply, and then we also have the quarterly value area low. So we can go here and see the previous quarter's value area low. Value area high, sorry. So those are the 3 levels that I would be looking at on Ethereum BTC. So as long as we don't start to bear trend on the daily here, I would be bullish and I will be targeting these levels. So that's what I'm seeing on ETHBTC. Now let's go ahead and take a look at ETHUSD. Alright guys, we're now looking at ETHUSD, and this one is a very interesting one. As you guys remember from the earlier segment when I was showing you guys what the SMI looked like, we are seeing a heavy distribution in the market. However, what we're seeing on the price action and in terms of value areas is not suggesting bearish prices yet. Okay, so we can see the past 2 weeks have been up weeks. Now we go down into our daily time frame. And you guys remember we were talking about this daily supply here, which actually lined up with the previous year's value area high, and that had actually been used as resistance, and we saw price drop. Now as price drop here, we came down into a discount of this range, but if you guys look at it, we have swing high, swing low, came up to a premium, swing low, swing high, came down to a discount. It's kind of like a triangle pattern here. Now I don't trade these patterns, but this is what's happening at the moment. So price has not really been going anywhere. It's very similar thing happening on Bitcoin. Ralphie made the Bitcoin forecast yesterday. If you guys have not seen that one yet, make sure you go ahead and check that out. It's on our channel. But That's kind of the pattern that we're seeing play out here. Now, what do I think is going to happen next? Well, the fact that we're breaking back above the previous year's value high is actually a very significant thing to be happening. Okay, when we drop down into our 8-hour and I start to look at the previous quarter, we can see we're still bear trending compared to the previous quarter's value. But look at this. We are on March 24th. The quarter is about to end. So think about this. Now, if I show the current quarter's profile, look at what's happening. So if we keep going like this, we could actually be opening next quarter above this quarter's value area high. Now, that would be a very, very bullish sign. So if you want to be bullish in this market, you really want to see price sustain above this previous quarter's, well, what is currently the current quarter's value area high. And you don't want that to switch to the upside because there's a couple of days left. But that would be a very, very bullish sign. Okay, so let's go back to looking at the previous quarter. So one of our targets, which is this 3-day supply here, kind of lines up with this previous quarter's value area high right here. Now, when we drop down into a 4-hour time frame and we look at the monthly, we can see that we've used the previous month's value low as support multiple times, and we rallied up to the previous month's value high. Now, we had used this as resistance at the very beginning of the month, and then we try to use that resistance again here. We finally broke through it, and now when we look at the weekly, we can see that we've used the weekly point of control as support. So this week we opened within value, try to go outside of it, came back, use the point of control as support, and now we're going back up. So this is all telling us that we are in a nice uptrend here in this market. And when we drop down into our 3-day, again, we are above the value area high. So everything is pointing towards an uptrend. And I'm not sure if you guys are seeing the contrast here between what the sentiment is telling us, which is distribution, very, very strong distribution. But when we look at price, we are seeing the complete opposite. Okay, when we drop down into a 5-minute, I'm looking at my daily model. You guys can see very similar thing here, above value area highs. So there is nothing in price at the moment that is pointing towards bearishness. In order for us to start to see a drop, we would need to, one, hit an important area. Well, there's this weekly supply here, which we've used already in the past. So I'm not a fan of these levels getting hit multiple times. But again, it really doesn't matter because what we're going to be looking for once it hits, and also once this 3-day supply hits, what we're going to be looking for is, if you are a swing trader or a position trader, you're going to be looking at your weekly profile. You're going to want to see price break down below your weekly profile. So right now, if you look at the current week, you guys can see that we are also above the value high on the current week. So that's also looking bullish if we stay that way once next week opens. And if you are a shorter term trader, what you'll be looking for is your 3-day profile, which it's still bullish, and then your daily profile, you would want to see price start to go below that. Now, to show you guys what that looks like in as an example, if I go here and I look at 2 profiles back, look at this, guys. So I know we didn't have a video last week, but this is what happened last week. So we can see that if I bring back the SMI, we can see that around these areas right here, so around March 15th or so, we did see some accumulation down here in the market. Now, we'd rather see strong accumulation, but nonetheless, there was accumulation. And guess what happened as the accumulation was happening? Look at this. We're looking at March 15th area. Look at this. Price was hitting the previous week's value area low. And guess what happened? We broke through the value area high, used it as support, and then price went on to rally. So what we're looking for here, if you want to be looking for short, is the exact opposite. Okay, we're gonna want to see price break below a value area low on a weekly, and then we can start to expect the downside. Okay, so that's how we use the SMI and the sentiment. It gives us an idea of what to look for, and then once we reach areas of resistance or areas of support, and then the flow starts to change, and that's depending on whatever time frame you want to be trading, whether you're a position trader, swing trader, or an intraday trader. Then you want to look at the flow to switch on those time frames to kind of give you confirmation that whatever you saw in the sentiment is going to play out in price. Okay, so that's what I got for you guys this week. Hopefully you guys got some value from this. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you can get notified every single time we drop a new video. And as always, I will see you all next week. Peace.